What's up, thumpers? Welcome back to another trailer reaction from Hyper RPG. We are here to... What is that? Are you surfing in the wind? What is that? Jesus Christ, you're white. We're here to do a trailer reaction for Venom, the official first trailer. I have not seen anything from this movie other than a picture of Venom because they used it as the thumbnail, and everyone kept tweeting it at me. So
also,
I know what Venom looks
internet.
like.
Yeah,
I saw the GIFs.
Yeah,
oh,
I
did
saw
you?
the GIFs of the face thing, and I was like, that looks like Venom.
That's a great opinion.
I don't have an opinion. I haven't watched the trailer.
Yeah. So my history with Venom is very limited. I mostly just know him from the cartoon and from the one movie that he was in, and I did not like that interpretation of Venom.
How could you?
How could anyone? I don't know.
When I was a kid, and I might still feel this way if it's done right, but the character has gone through so many iterations since I was a kid. When I was a kid, my ranking of Spider-Man villains, and I thought that Spider-Man villains were number 2 overall to Batman villains in terms of like best.
I would say
rogues
they're number
gallery.
1, but that's just me.
That's fair. You can make a case for it, but I feel like Spider-Man, Batman, maybe the Flash, maybe sometimes the X-Men with like Magneto, Juggernaut, Apocalypse. Those are like the strongest rosters of villains, right? Spidey's clearly number 2, possibly number 1, depending on how you feel about it. Within that ranking, my ranking was always the Green Goblin, Norman Osborn, number 1. Doc Ock, Otto Octavius, number 2. Dr. Octopus, and number 3 was Venom, preferably Eddie Brock.
See,
that was
I would put him like way down here, but even as a kid, I always felt like, what is this? Why is this here?
You got to remember. Well, first of all, I grew up with that 90s animated series, which put a lot of emphasis on Venom. And then you cut to years later in 2008 when Sony did the Spectacular Spider-Man. They did a very good job with Venom.
That was great.
The reason I love Venom is because he's this classic iteration of like the opposite bad guy. Batman has Man-Bat. Superman has Bizarro. Yeah. You know, Green Lantern has Yellow Lantern, Sinestro. Like everybody has like an
besides Green Lantern, I feel like there's a reason that those are always kind of like
that's
strong.
That's true. But what I liked, and I'm going off of like those early like Todd McFarlane drawings when Eddie Brock first got the alien symbiote. I like that the alien symbiote came from Spidey. I like that Mary Jane Watson, his wife at the time, or maybe girlfriend, maybe fiance, like was used to seeing Spidey in this black costume, and even when he got rid of the goo, he had like a black cloth costume.
But
you know,
that's the setup. That's the great thing.
That's what I like about Venom. It includes the setup.
Insert into
Peter Parker
Spider-Man. And at the time, it was trying so hard to be edgy, but at the time we hadn't really got that edgy yet.
So it was badass.
So it was kind of like, whoa.
Yeah. He's got teeth.
And then for the next 10 years, I was like, shut up about Venom.
The one thing they did, they one-upped it with Carnage. And like Carnage, he's like high fructose corn syrup for me. He's fine in moderation. If you use Carnage, you know, sparingly, it can. Like the first time when you read a summary of Maximum Carnage, it's dope. When you actually read the comics, it's not that great.
No,
but just like
most
Spider-Man,
comics in the 90s,
exactly. When you read the summary, you're like, on paper, this is dope.
Yeah.
The story of Venom, Eddie Brock, the story of him, you know, and Peter Parker being arch enemies, like that shit is dope on paper. The comics themselves, most of them, they're not that great. Some of them are really, really good. And I remember when I think it was like in 1998 or whatever. By that point, Venom had become super popular, and there was this series where like it came down to him and Spidey fighting on this rooftop, and again, it was just like no holds barred. Like Spidey's suit ripped, and I'm like, this is fucking awesome. That's what I like about Venom. But then they sort of took it away from Eddie Brock and gave it to Mac Gargan, which was weird, who was the former Scorpion, and then they gave it to Flash Thompson,
which was great,
to try to give him this whole story arc. And then he became a
galactic protector, and okay,
and then Eddie Brock became anti-Venom. So there's all this, like, there was definitely like a symbiote like oversaturation in the 90s and beyond. But I still believe that, you know,
I know you and I have talked about this before. Like, to me, I was most excited about this movie if I was like, oh, Tom Hardy.
Yeah,
he could play a Flash Thompson, and I thought, like, oh my god, like we could come back from Iraq.
It's Tony Revolori. We already have Flash Thompson in Spider-Man Homecoming,
and I know, which I like. I like that new take, but at the same time, I was like, oh,
right.
Just if you're gonna make him Eddie Brock, just take the Flash Thompson storyline because it's so much better.
Sure.
Don't make him a damn reporter. Make
him
a
big bodybuilder reporter who then like hates Peter Parker because Peter Parker ruined
so
the story.
80s and
like
90s.
It's
so
really
dumb.
weird. He's just working out like, I hate Peter Parker. Like it's weird.
I'm gonna follow him.
But
I'm gonna follow him.
Man, Venom was the coolest.
It's whatever. I know. I can already see in the comments like, shut up and watch the trailer.
You got to get this context.
That's the thing. You always need a little bit of context, right? All right. God help us.
Here we go.
You should be extremely afraid.
Trailer for the trailer.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for bringing us collectively to this moment.
The Mummy.
It is a moment that so many have dreamed of claiming, history starts today. The guy you work for is an evil person.
I don't work for him. My firm works for him. Are you gonna behave yourself tomorrow?
I told you I'm gonna do my job. I'm a reporter. I follow people that do not want to be followed. What about the allegations that you recruit the most vulnerable for tests that end up killing people?
Your time to go.
You're finished, Mr. Brock.
Is that a threat? You had to learn how to hide in plain sight. I'm pretty good at it. But you suck. Whoever you are.
I work at the Life Foundation, and I need your help. We found something. We call them symbiotes. Carlton Drake believes that the union between human and symbiote is the key to our evolution.
I'm feeling really sick. I'm hearing a voice. Eddie. You're not real. You were just in my head.
I'm gonna need Mr. Drake's property back.
I don't know. Why would we do that? If you're gonna stay, you will only hurt bad people.
The way I see it, we can do whatever we want. Do we have a deal?
Who's that voice?
It doesn't sound like Tom Hardy. But it could be.
Are you willing to sacrifice the one thing you hold most dear?
You should be extremely afraid.
What the hell are you? We are Venom.
This is so interesting.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Okay.
so interesting. Like, I've seen this online. It looks just like Venom,
yeah.
and
But
also
that
at the
doesn't-
same time, Venom looks stupid. And then
Yeah.
people are now starting to like really look at the look of Venom in the comics, and the way that they decided to translate it is very literal. Sometimes a literal translation works, and other times it doesn't so much. I don't know if this doesn't work all the way yet. I'm not
Yeah.
in that camp. To me, it kind of works, but it also is kind of like
There's so many silly
it's
things
just
about
clearly
there's-
CG. You know
there's
what I mean?
certain
Like,
things that
yeah.
belong in comic books because there's stories you can tell in comic books that you can't tell anywhere else, and it's a medium.
to go off of that, I'm watching the red carpet for Infinity War, and the writers, and maybe like Chris Evans or somebody, either an actor or one of the writers of maybe the two writers of Infinity War, they said like, what's part of the reason this is so successful? And one of those groups of people said it's because of people like Kevin, and they know what to. You know who it was? It was Joss Whedon. He said people like Kevin Feige know what to leave on the page and then what to adapt. And the fact that he said what to leave on the page, that is key. Because you go back to the comics for the storyline, and this looks like it's trying to capture a lot of vibe of the sort of solo Venom stories, which could be really fucking cool. Like, that's not a bad thing. But you got to know what to leave on the page and what to adapt kind of as faithfully as you can. So I'm not in the camp yet that it's like, it looks like shit. I'm like, it could look.
Why does he
really-
look like
Yeah.
like a bad
just wet.
Spider-Man though?
He's wet.
But why does he have the eyes like Spider-Man in the like?
That's
If he's not in the movie,
right.
is he going to be though? I guess that's a thing.
I don't know.
But that doesn't look like they're setting up Eddie Brock to hate Spider-Man,
Correct.
which is fine.
Right.
I'm at least from that trailer, I'm way more interested
Then
in
the first, yeah.
in Eddie Brock
Yeah.
as a character.
Yeah.
At least there's that for sure.
It looks like they're trying to set up multiple symbiotes.
Sure.
Which is interesting.
Was that Siren?
Symbiotes, whatever.
Maybe.
they want to
Was that
call them.
Siren? And
Maybe.
and are they going to introduce Cassius Clay?
Scream, all the rest of those weird, and they pronounce it symbiote, and I'm like, I thought it was,
I thought it was
symbiote.
I did too
Yeah.
for years.
Symbiote, yeah.
I
You
thought
guys-
the cartoon said symbiote.
I hope whoever worked on this movie listened to cartoons, because a bunch of people our age that are trying to go see this movie, like, we already know what he sounds like because we watch Spider-Man cartoons. So,
Symbiote.
y'all could still go in and ADR it. I'm just saying, it's coming out in October.
It just seems like they were trying very hard to be like symbiote.
Yes.
But I don't really love or hate this trailer. I think
Yeah.
it looks,
Yeah,
I think
me
it looks
either.
fine.
Yeah.
I think I would need either like another trailer to give me a little bit more context of the story, or honestly just get the movie?
Get
the
the
movie.
movie. This could be a case of like it might be hard to trailerize what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just know that Tom Hardy's like great. He's a fucking great actor. He's
Of
probably
course.
going to do a great job in this.
I do like that almost every action scene in this all takes place obviously in the same 5 minutes because of his outfit. and
Yeah,
look.
he's wearing the same thing.
So
Yeah.
that's actually hopeful for me because I was like,
Yeah.
oh, those motorcycle scenes look kind of awkward to me and look
Yeah.
a little dated. But if it's all
If it's
in
just
that
one.
first 5 minutes
Sure.
of him getting the suit and being like, what's happening to
Yeah.
me?
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know what's happening.
I'm also very
Kinda
interested
cool
to
with
see
it.
how he plays off having the split personalities.
Right.
You know, and how much of it is actually going to be just like Tom Hardy, or if they did bring in somebody else to do the voice of Venom or the symbiote itself, and how that's going to sort of work and what that sort of does to the character. So it could be interesting, but man, yeah, he's real moist.
Yeah. Real moist boy.
Yeah, but
His
again,
eyes were moving, his teeth and mouth his lips were kind of moving, but his teeth were still being exposed as he was talking.
Which is what the comics does, and you're like, wait,
Yeah.
that doesn't work.
Because in the comic book, like
You don't have to show it.
Next time you read any comic, look carefully at if a character has their mouths open or closed. If the character, I forget which artist said this, but there was this one comic book artist that would brilliantly was like, if a character is speaking, if there's a picture, a panel with a word balloon coming out of a character, I'm going to draw that character with his mouth open, his or her mouth open. And I'm like, that's a good like philosophy. That's a good way to look at it. If they're not speaking, mouth closed. Venom is this weird, like he always has the teeth, he always has the tongue, he always
tongue
has
hanging out.
that iconic look, and yet he's still delivering these speeches to Peter Parker and shit. And I'm like, how would that? Would he be like moving the way we do, like covering your teeth with every word you say? And he's still showing the teeth, like,
Yeah.
and the panels just happen to be the 1 second where he's like, Parker, or is it this
I
the
always
whole
like
time?
the idea that because it's
like
a
I don't know.
symbiote and it's on top, it's the idea that underneath it, it's
He's
coming out
speaking.
from within.
It's like a guy wearing a costume almost.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
like a costume, but
Like a
then
mask,
it's
yeah.
weird. Then it's weird when you get this in between
The
part
tongue.
like Spider-Man 3, where he's like trying to. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, this just doesn't work. It's like a fish
It's
talking
tough.
to you.
It's tough. Yeah.
It's weird.
But like, again, I think it's admirable that they're trying to chase that look because that shit did look like 90s Venom from the comics.
Yeah,
you know?
and then we all remember like, oh, there are a lot of things in the 90s that weren't
Yeah.
great. That's I think going to be the big argument all the time is we have this memory. Some people are going to say
Yes.
the 90s were the best. We miss the 90s books. We miss all the way things looked. And then others are going to say, no, when you go back, that stuff's terrible and it just doesn't hold up.
Again, I go towards read it in an encyclopedia like I do, and it's great. Most comic book stories, when you just read the summary of it, you're like, that's cool. Then
Yeah.
leave it to other writers to interpret it in another way, or screenwriters to be like, what works, what doesn't from this storyline. And I'm also kind of bummed that it looks like they shot this in Vancouver because it's that same Vancouver forest that's in every movie that's shot in Vancouver. Like running from back, I'm like, wait, is this in San Francisco, New York, whatever? Like,
Yeah.
I guess it's San Fran because of the Golden Gate Bridge.
I mean, at first I was like, the first trailer that came out, I was really not into the look
Yeah.
at all.
but sure.
I'm a little bit more into it now, only if they lean more into this body horror aspect.
Yeah.
And that might be the way to take this, is
Yeah.
to go for a PG-13 horror, body horror kind of movie. It might
Yeah.
work. It might work if you just keep the whole. But it looks like. But then they say anti-hero, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh man, it's just. What is it? What's it going to be? Where's it going
Right.
to fit? Is the director strong enough to create this multi-genre film that's
Right.
that's tapping all those aspects?
Ruben Fleischer, director of Zombieland.
Oh, maybe. Zombieland was cool. That was kind of
Yeah.
a mishmash of two different genres too. That was like,
Yeah.
zombie horror and then like comedy.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
We'll
and
see.
and I love Riz Ahmed and I love Jenny Slate. And the
Sure
opening
will.
where he's being a buff reporter, like, what do you say about the allegations? I'm like, sure, whatever, that's fine. He's Eddie Brock's a reporter and he's on the case. Cool, that's fine.
Yeah,
It's-
it's gonna be hard for me to sell that.
I
I
know,
really
man.
wish they would have gone the route of like Iraq War veteran with no
Yes.
legs.
because
With
that
the dad issues.
because that's more relatable. I
Yeah.
just feel like than the reporter who was pretty thin in the comic books and just served to like
It was
you
thin
know.
then. It's gonna be even thinner now in today's like generation of media. You know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right.
But at least they weren't like, I'm a YouTuber.
Oh god.
I'm Eddie Brock. I'm a influencer. I wanted to like, get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. We'll see, man.
They're in a rock and a hard place, honestly,
Yeah.
man.
And then how are they going to put if Tom Holland is in this? If that's the rumors, I don't know. Is this going to be part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe? I don't know. It seemed like no, because at the beginning these characters are talking about like history being made because they got the first Alien, and I'm like, this isn't in the MCU because aliens fell from the sky. Like the history being
And
made
we've
was
already
like
had all those devices.
yeah,
and
like exactly.
items.
People have already picked up alien weapons and shit. So this is not. So it's not in the MCU. But they're still gonna try to have Tom Holland in there. Sony, good luck.
Yeah, we'll see.
maybe it'll make money, but maybe people will ask you nicely, like, but don't try to like connect this and don't do anything with Venom later. And then maybe years from now, a future Guardians of the Galaxy movie can introduce the planet of symbiotes, and then that's how that Tom Holland Peter Parker gets a goo suit. I don't know.
I kind of hope they never do that either. I mean, I like more what it all represents at the end of it all than what it actually was.
Yeah.
You know, we had 8 years of him in the black costume back then.
Really?
It was 5 to 8.
From 1982 to 80,
like that, or
88 or something like that.
It was either 5 or 8 years. Don't yell at me if I'm completely wrong. It was either 5 or 8 that he was in the black suit. And, you know, then that black suit tuning into the Venom symbiote. But then it got this kind of new attitude of it's this part of himself that he knows is deep within himself that's a little bit darker. So much of who Venom is as a character is based on Peter Parker. Eddie Brock was a tag on even to the symbiote. The symbiote got its first imprint of a personality, of a human personality, from Peter Parker. And it's this darkness that's inside him based on all the guilt and the bad things that he's let happen to the people that he loves and all this other stuff that comes out, and then it feeds on Eddie's hate. But deep down it's got this connection to Peter Parker always and forever. So I like what it represents, because then now in these stories, the second he puts on a black suit, you go, oh shit!
It means something.
It means something. It means he's embracing a side of himself that he wants to forget, but it's necessary to sometimes get the job done. So we got that great Back in Black storyline, and now Nick Spencer's going to run with the black suit.
Nice.
It's starting his run with the black suit.
Very cool.
Which is great. It's exciting. It represents some
Nick
really
Spencer,
cool things.
Ryan Otley doing the Spider-Man art.
Nick Spencer's taking over Spider-Man.
And Ryan Otley, the artist of Invincible,
I believe
is the artist. Oh well, he's going to draw the shit out of that.
It's going to be great.
That's going to be awesome.
I'm actually excited for Spider-Man again.
Oh, yeah.
When they announced
But,
Nick Spencer, I was like,
again, everything we're just describing, like Sony as a company has decided to sacrifice that potential as a story for Tom Holland, Peter Parker, in favor of like, well, what can we do with Eddie Brock, Venom, kind of shortcutting and getting it to here? Will it pay off? What would you rather have? I don't know.
I don't envy them, because you don't have the time or the resources to pull off the other way.
Yeah. Correct.
And especially now that Spider-Man's in the MCU. You just don't have that.
Unless
Tom Holland's like the golden boy right now.
Sure.
What are you going to do in the second movie? Make him all dark and broody like Spider-Man 3 tried? It doesn't work.
I think I would that might have been their answer. That might have been what they looked at, and they're like, it's just not going to, because Tom Holland's going to get 2 more Spider-Man Homecoming movies, and then what are they going to do? Bring in Miles Morales, or give him a 4th one, or he's going to be a part of the Avengers by then? Like whatever they're going to do, where do we fit the symbiote into his own personal Spidey story?
I don't think, even though Spectacular Spider-Man did it really well.
Yeah.
The cartoon
Setting
handled
up
it
Eddie
really,
Brock,
really well.
his friend.
In the movie universe, I don't think we can do it with a high school Peter Parker. I think you need a middle-aged.
You need him in college.
Someone who's gone through all these things and has all this guilt built up.
Who's already lost Gwen Stacy. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Because it doesn't work without the pain underneath it all.
Yeah.
You know, and all the bad decisions that he's made. But whatever.
But look, man.
Sorry, Adam.
Marvel Studios, they're going to skip like Janice Marvell and go straight to Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel. That's probably a good call.
Yeah, it's a
right?
good call.
Warner Brothers skipped Alan Scott, Green Lantern. Nobody talks about him and went straight to Hal. If and when they do Green Lantern again, I say skip Hal, go straight to Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
What do you lose with Hal? I think you can make up for and gain with like jumping to Jon Stewart. The fact that he's a black superhero, the fact all of these things can be a part of like the payoff, like making it worth it. The question is, can you get the same thing with Venom, this sort of shortcut and cutting out Spidey?
I don't think you can personally, but I'm excited to be surprised. Maybe. I'll give it a chance.
Yeah.
I'll give any of these films a chance.
I saw Fantastic Four in theaters. Of course, I'll go see it. But you know,
I didn't.
I did. It was I regretted it. It's terrible. It's really bad. But
we'll find out.
I'm not rooting against it. I want it to be good.
Yeah. Hopefully it's good. I mean, again,
one of these days we're gonna have a whole conversation about when Doom's gonna get a good movie. But
we'll make a musical before they make a Doom movie. Hector, where can we find you on the internet?
You find me on the internet at Hector is Funny. Zach,
I'm right here all the time.
All the time.
Good talk. You can find me at Adam Hlavik. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Adam,
Leave your comments down below.
I love your input into this conversation so
love
much.
It. This is great. I'm like trailer.
Downloading.
It's all right.
Adam's downloading. He's like Johnny Five. He's like input.
Yeah.
He's looking at me. He's looking at you. He's looking at me. And he's like, okay. He goes, this is the comic book like perspective.
Adam and I see all the comments that don't get approved to be on the YouTube page. I know what half of them are going to be right now.
Course.
These motherfuckers won't shut up and let Adam talk. Let Adam speak, you asshole.
Adam,
it looks fine.
Adam, what are your opinions on the 80s and 90s Venom comics?
I don't give a fuck.
Thanks, Adam.
There you go.
That's great.
See?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Bye.